ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्यस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। भगवद गीता के इस प्रवचन में आप सभी का स्वागत है।
We welcome all of you to this session on Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā. Today we are studying chapter 2 verse 34 onwards. In the previous two verses we had studied 3 actually, 31, 32 and 33. Bhagavan had said that do not deviate from dharma. You are a kshatriya and it is your dharma to engage in the war. So actually Arjun, when he had asked earlier itself, Arjun had told that we do not know whether we will win or they will win or what is better. Is it better for us to win or for them to win? Meaning that we should fight in the war or we should not. So when Bhagavan replied to him, Bhagavan did not tell him that you fight. First of all, Bhagavan explained the discrimination between Prakriti, Purush Atma, and that you are Atma, you are not the body, and Atma never dies. After that, in verse number 30 onwards, Bhagavan started speaking that you should also pay attention to your Swadharma. In 31 onwards. So what do we understand from this? We understand that as of now, Bhagavan is telling him to fight. Fight means to perform his duty. And earlier, Bhagavan had not told whether you should fight or not. He was just giving knowledge. So its purport is that before engaging in any activity, we should make sure that our knowledge is correct. Bhagavan first of all gave him knowledge, the discrimination. And then he said that engage in the war. So we can act in two ways. One is out of ignorance and one is out of knowledge. When we act out of ignorance, then what will be its result? We ourselves don't know what will happen. But if we are situated in knowledge and act accordingly, then at least one result is certain, that we will not be implicated in the cycle of karma. This is what Bhagavan will tell in the upcoming verses, that if you engage like this, if you fight in the war like this, then you will not be implicated in sin. Not being implicated in sin means you will not be bound in the cycle of karma. So this is an extremely important knowledge that Bhagavan is imparting in an indirect way, that before acting, we should obtain proper knowledge. And the most important knowledge is our own discrimination, the discrimination between Prakriti, Purush, and Atma, the difference between body and Atma. As I have explained earlier also many times, that we are an individual, a person, and our existence has two components. One is the Atma and the body. The body itself is further subdivided into gross and subtle body. So if we have this knowledge, then we act accordingly, and then we do not get bound in the cycle of karma. So now what Bhagavan is explaining is that about the Swadharma, the dharma of the body. Here, Swa refers to the body. So Bhagavan is telling that you are a Kshatriya. Atma is not Kshatriya, Brahman or anything. Atma is just Atma. Atma has no Varna. Atma has no ashram, no jati. Atma is not born itself. So how can Atma have any of this? So Bhagavan is explaining all this. So Bhagavan is explaining that we have to understand these things properly and then we have to act. So he is talking about Swadharma. In Sanskrit, Swa also means wealth. Like we say Swami. What does Swami mean? One who has Swa. One who has wealth. Here Swa means wealth. That's why those who take sannyas, they are designated as Maharaj. They are not actually Maharaj or king of anything, but they have spiritual wealth. That's why they are designated accordingly. Swadharma also means that Swa eva dharma or dharma eva Swa.
यानी कि हमारे जो असली धन है, हमारी जो असली वेल्थ है, वो हमारा धर्म है.
Our real wealth is our dharma.
इसलिए भगवान कहते हैं कि आप अपना अगर स्वधर्म भी देखते हैं, स्वधर्म.
That's why Bhagavan is telling that even if you check your swadharma, even if you focus on your dharma, that means the wealth what you have, it is this only.
जो बाहर का धन है, वो तो आता जाता रहता है.
The external wealth, it keeps coming and going. Today you are wealthy, tomorrow you may become very poor also. But your internal wealth, that will always remain with you. Even after death, it will go along with you. That is why this is the real wealth. The external wealth, it is, there is no guarantee if the external wealth will remain with us even in this life, because mostly your wealth is lying in the bank, and we never know, bank may demonetize some currency note or may seize your bank account, or let's say there is COVID, you can't even walk out of home. So what will you do with that wealth if you do not have grains in your home but you have currency notes? You cannot eat the currency notes. So this is external wealth, and the internal wealth is our swadharma. That's why human being should earn both the wealth, not just external wealth, that also should be accumulated, but also the internal wealth. So that's why Bhagavan is telling that at least focus on your dharma and don't be afraid. And in general, the result of dharma is happiness, and the result of adharma is suffering. Like we have, like wealth is not useful in itself. Wealth is only useful when it is exchanged for buying any object. Although the people who are who are dharmic, who are righteous, who are religious, they even derive pleasure in performing dharma. Just like some people who are wealthy and who are very greedy, they just derive pleasure in having the wealth. So, happiness is the result of dharma, and suffering is the result of adharma. So in Swarga, the word Swarga, Swar means Sukh. Although in general we think that Swarga is a place, that is also true, but the real meaning of the word Swarga is happiness. And that is obtained only by dharma. People who do adharma, they cannot go to Swarga. They cannot go to heaven. So Bhagavan is telling that you engage in your dharma and then you will go to Swarga. So the door will be open. There will be no obstacle in your path to Swarga. So the door of Swarga being open means that there is no obstacle. Because a door, if it is closed, it is an obstacle. And at least if you do not want to go to Swarga, send other people to Swarga, because those who will die on fighting on this battlefield will achieve Swarga. So such Kshatriyas are very happy who get opportunity to fight in the war. And in the next verse, he had told that if you do not fight in this righteous battle, in this Dharma Yuddha, if you do not engage in this righteous battle, then it is your loss only. So Bhagavan explained in both ways what is the advantage in fighting and disadvantage in not fighting. So some people may say that no, I do not want any advantage, so why should I fight in the war? So Bhagavan is telling no, if you fight, then there is a benefit, and if you do not fight, then there will be loss. So he explained that, and now also he is explaining. Translation: Moreover, people will speak of your infamy for all time to come, and for a man of honor, infamy is worse than death. So, in the previous verse, he explained about the adrishta, meaning the result that one gets later, that you will incur sin. Sin means it will give you suffering. That is adrishta, meaning that it is not going to come up immediately. You will get it later. Now he is telling the drishta phala, the result that will happen immediately, and that is infamy. So the sinful result will be incurred in the next life, but infamy will be accrued in this life itself. People will insult you. They will speak ill words about you. And people in general are always ready to seek opportunity to criticize somebody. This
जैसे
is
हमारे अंदर जो है एक
this is a quality that human beings in general have,
जेलसी जिसको बोलते हैं,
because we have
और ये बहुत जरूरी
envy
है
inside,
क्योंकि
and
ये
that
हमारी
envy is very
आत्मा
deep
की
rooted because it is connected to our
आत्मा की
ahankar.
ऊर्जा है एक प्रकार से। तो ये बहुत पावरफुल
So it is like a child of ahankar.
है, बलशाली
So this
प्रवृत्ति है
envy is a very
दोष
strong,
दृष्टि करना,
very strong
अपने ऊपर हम
pravritti
दृष्टि नहीं देखते
in
हैं,
us,
दूसरों के अंदर
finding faults in
अगर
others.
हम दोष
We do
नहीं
not
करते हैं
see
दूसरों में देखते
faults in ourselves,
हैं।
we
लेकिन ये
just see
अहंकार
faults
है,
in others.
इसका एक बहुत विचित्र गुण है।
Because ahankar has a very strange
किसी
quality
के साथ
that it
मिलता नहीं है,
always remains alone. It never mixes
हम
with
अपने को
anybody else.
आई बोलते हैं,
When we refer
मैं
to
एक का
ourselves as I,
हम अपने को आई
then we
मैं
are referring to our
तो आई का
ahankar.
जो बहुवचन है वो हम होता है,
So
आई का
the
बहुवचन
plural
हम
form
क्या
of
होता है,
I is we,
लेकिन वास्तव में वी जो है वो आई का बहुवचन नहीं है,
but
वो वी का
actually
मतलब तो आई एंड यू,
we is not the
दो
plural
व्यक्ति
form of I. We
आई
simply
प्लस
means
आई,
I and you.
उनके
We is
अलग अलग
not I
नाम
plus
है,
I, because there is nothing
इसलिए
called I
उसमें
plus I. I is one
इसलिए
only.
उसका सिंबल भी एक ही है,
So its symbol is
ऊपर
also
से
one
नीचे तक
only.
कोई।
That's how we write I,
तो
just
ये
as a
अहंकार
vertical
जो है
line.
ये अकेला ही रहता है,
So ahankara always remains
और
alone
अकेला
only.
रहने के कारण ये अपने को नहीं देखता है, दूसरों को
And
दृष्टि
since
नहीं
it is
देता है,
alone,
लोनली रहता
it
है,
doesn't see
अकेलापन महसूस
others.
करते हैं, तो हमेशा दूसरों की
People
तरफ
who,
देखते रहते हैं,
some people feel
अपने ऊपर
lonely,
दृष्टि नहीं जाती है, दूसरों के पीछे
they they
कब ये मिल जाए, कब इससे बात हो जाए, मित्रता ढूंढते रहते हैं ना, चाहे
they just
फेसबुक
keep
पे कहीं
seeking
भी।
for friendship, socialization with
तो
others.
इसलिए अपने दोष वो देखता नहीं है, और दूसरों पर दृष्टि रहती है तो दूसरों को देखता है, और दूसरा अहंकार का
That's
गुण
why
है
he doesn't focus on his or her own faults, just keeps focusing on
कि
others'
अपने अंदर
faults.
आप दोष
And it is
देखते
the
हैं तो
quality of
दूसरे को नहीं
ahankar is to
देखते,
convince that we are very great.
और दूसरे के अंदर दोष दिखाई देते हैं तो दूसरा जो है वो नीच दिखेगा, आपको छोटा दिखेगा।
So when we see faults in
तो
others, that person
इसलिए
appears very inferior to us, lowly
जब
to
कोई
us.
दूसरों में दोष देखता है,
That's
तो
why
अर्जुन की जो
every
बहुत बड़ी
person
शक्ति थी,
sees faults in others. So Arjun had a
अहंकार
great
था,
quality. He was very
जो
famous,
प्रसिद्ध होते हैं,
and people who are very
फेमस होते
famous,
हैं, जिनकी कीर्ति जिनका यश रहता है,
whose fame is spread across the world.
उनके दोष दृष्टि भी बहुत ज्यादा होती है, क्योंकि
So
सबकी दृष्टि उन पर रहती है
everybody
कि इसने
focuses on their
इसने
faults
क्या
also.
किया, क्या नहीं
The
किया, और हम
people
जो भी
keep focusing on them,
देखते हैं
what
वो
he is
अपनी
doing,
दृष्टि
not
से देखते
doing,
हैं,
and
क्या
whatever
उसका अपना
we
विचार है,
see
क्या
from
नहीं है,
our own vision. We have
तो
our own
अपनी दृष्टि से
understanding,
देखते हैं कि
what
इसने
is
ऐसा
right,
किया,
what is
मेरे को
wrong.
ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था,
So
क्योंकि
we
हम
see
ये
from our own
सोच
vision,
नहीं
such a
सकते कि ये
person
दूसरा
did
व्यक्ति जो
something
है
like
क्यों ये
this,
कर रहा है,
whether
क्यों
it is
मुझसे
right
दूर
or wrong.
क्यों कर रहा है, इसके पीछे इसका क्या उद्देश्य है, क्योंकि उसकी
We do
मनस्थिति
not
का हमें पता
understand
नहीं है,
why that person is acting
हम
like that.
अपनी
We do
मनस्थिति
not
के सहारे
understand that
ही उस
person's
व्यक्ति को
mental
द्वेषित करते
situation.
रहते हैं,
So based on our own
और
mental
जो
situation, we
उसकी
analyze
बुद्धि या
others.
उसकी कृति या उसके विचार या उसकी वाणी
And
हमारे
for other
मानस
person's
से नहीं मिलती है,
actions,
तो उसका हम
thinking,
दोष देखते हैं।
these activities, when
अगर
they
हम
do not match with
बहुत
those of ours, then we
कीर्तिमान
see
व्यक्ति
fault
हैं,
in them. So
यश
Arjun is a very famous
उसका स्वर्ग
person.
तक नाम फैला हुआ था, तो अगर
He
आप
was
अर्जुन को
famous even in
देखेंगे
Swarga.
और
Now
उसकी
that
कीर्तियों
Arjun,
के
if he
कारण
doesn't
कि बहुत
fight,
बड़ा
and we
योद्धा
should
है
remember that Arjun's
और
fame is because of his
बन जाता है
capability
कि
in
बहुत
fighting in the
बड़ा
war,
शिष्य है,
and he was the
शिष्य
favorite,
है,
the primary
तो वो
disciple of
कभी उससे
Dronacharya.
विरक्त हो जाता
So
है,
if such a
तो लोग
person
सोचेंगे कि अरे
leaves the battlefield,
ये
then
तो सच
obviously
में
people will
उन्होंने
think
तो
that
भगवान
he
कृष्ण
became afraid, he was scared to fight.
व्याध रना तो प्रथम मन सुनते तो हम महारथ कि तुम डर कर चलेंगे,
So
तो
Bhagavan will
इसलिए वो
tell in the
कहते हैं कि
upcoming
यदि
verse
युद्ध
that
में
people will think
चलते
like this, that you ran out of fear.
व्ययम कि आपकी अकीर्ति होगी,
So
और
you will be
जब
insulted.
इसको
People will
कहेंगे
speak of your
तो एक दूसरे
infamy.
से इसकी चर्चा करेंगे,
They will discuss
पहले
all this
उस
among
समय में तो ये सब
themselves.
इंटरनेट नहीं
in those times there was no internet, so infamy, spreading slander, criticism was also limited. Nowadays, in 2 minutes, a person can be criticized all over the internet across the world. Now people can even make deep fake videos about somebody and spread his criticism.
मतलब तो ऐसा होता है कि वो कभी समाप्त ना होने वाली सदा, पर कहने का मतलब है कि काफी समय तक चलेगी कीर्ति।
So here avyayam means that uh, it will, this infamy will remain for a very long period of time, not in the literal sense that it will be eternally.
कौन कहेगा इसको?
And who will speak about all this? The bhutas, the ordinary people.
महापुरुष तुम्हारी कीर्ति करेंगे।
It is not that some great people will speak, only they will speak of your infamy. Not only them, even ordinary people will speak of your infamy. Because one does not have to be very qualified to criticize others. Everybody criticizes.
जन समाज में साधारण व्यक्ति भी आपकी निंदा करेगा।
So in the human society, even ordinary people will criticize you, they will insult you. So now if Arjun says that how does it affect me? Why should I be bothered about that? So Bhagavan says that it is important for you to understand this. Why? Because you are very famous, and people who have achieved lot of fame, they cannot tolerate infamy. In general, nobody likes to hear his own criticism, but people who are very famous, who have always received respect from others, they always expect respect, name, and fame, and to be garlanded in public and be praised, because everywhere they get that. They are nowadays called celebrities. Celebrity means who is celebrated in the public. So Arjun was a celebrity. Wherever he went, he was praised by people. But if he runs away from the battle, and wherever he will go, he will be criticized.
तो कहते हैं ये तो ऐसा ही हो गया
So it is as if
जैसे आप मर गए।
it is as good as like you have died only. In fact, not only died, it is worse than death. Why is it worse than death? Because when a person dies, he dies once. But this criticism, this will happen daily. And whenever you will hear, you will feel the pain. The pain of death is once. Whatever pain he had to suffer, he suffered in the death. But this pain of infamy, he will have to suffer from that every day. That's why Bhagavan is telling Sambhavitasya. Sambhavita means a man of honor, whom people consider very exalted, very special. So for such people, getting infamy is worse than death.
कि उससे उनकी अकीर्ति हो, उनकी निंदा हो। तो इस श्लोक के ऊपर एक पूर्व पक्ष उठाया जा सकता है।
So a Purva Paksha can be raised on this particular verse. There is a verse in Mahabharata.
ग्रामस्य अर्थे कुलम त्यजेत, राष्ट्र अर्थे त्यजेत ग्राम, आत्मा अर्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत। कि अपने आत्मा अर्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत, कि अपनी आत्मा की रक्षा करने के लिए,
That for protecting your Atma, you can give up the whole earth. There is another verse in the Virat Parva.
सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जो है वो आपकी अपनी रक्षा करना है। अगर आप
Most important is to protect oneself. If you can protect yourself,
फिर समस्याओं का
then
समाधान ढूंढ सकते हैं।
you can search for the solutions to the problems.
क्या ऐसा सोच सकता है यहाँ पर?
So Arjun can think like this here.
ऐसा अर्जुन नहीं सोच
So for that, the answer is Arjun will not think like this because he is a Kshatriya. These verses of Niti, they have to be analyzed properly in what situation they have been spoken and for whom have they been spoken. So the verse which said that for your own Atma, you can give up the whole earth. So why is it said that if many people are suffering, then you can give up something small for that? So that is a nyaya.
भूरि अनुग्रह न्याय इसको पूर्व मीमांसा में बोलते हैं कि अगर बहुत लोगों का कल्याण होता है
it says that if many people
बलिदान देकर तो उसको कर देना
can be saved by sacrificing something small, then that should be sacrificed.
नुकसान होगा।
Otherwise, the majority
ये
will
उनके लिए
suffer.
है, लेकिन एक क्षत्रिय के
So
लिए
it is for them, but this is
क्षत्रिय
not for a
अपने धर्म की
Kshatriya,
रक्षा करें
because
और
as far as a
धर्म
Kshatriya is concerned, it is his
तो ऐसा
duty
अर्जुन नहीं
to
कहते हैं
fight
यहाँ पे।
for protecting Dharma. So Arjun
इसी
cannot speak
में
like
भगवान
that.
फिर बोलते हैं
So in the next verse, Bhagavan speaks,
भयाद रणादुपरतं मंशन्ते त्वां महारथः येषां च त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यस्यसि लाघवम्। महारथी लोग ये
translation,
सोचेंगे कि तुम
the
बहुत
great
बलवान हो,
warriors
रणभूमि से
will
भाग
think
निकले
that you have run away
इसलिए
from battle
ये
out
तो
of fear.
मान देते, अधिक मान
Indeed,
देते थे कि
those
तुम्हें
for
कुछ
whom
नहीं
you
होगा।
were so highly
तो
regarded
यहाँ पर
will
अर्जुन ये
belittle
तर्क
you.
दे सकता है
So
कि
here Arjun
मैं
can give a
धर्म
logic
से
that
इसलिए हो रहा हूँ
I
कि मैं
am
अपने गुरुजनों को नहीं
leaving
मारना चाहता।
this battlefield
कथा में
because
ऐसा
I do
बताया
not want to kill my guru, my
कि मैं
superiors.
भीष्म
Earlier also he had
से
told
युद्ध
that
कैसे
how
कर
can
सकता हूँ।
I
लेकिन
fight
अर्जुन
against
के सामने
Bhishma and Drona,
दो समस्याएं हैं, एक
because
धर्म
Arjun has two problems in
और
front of
एक
him.
अपने
One is
गुरुजनों
the
से।
battle, the
वो
righteous
सोचेंगे
battle,
किसको
and one is
चयन करें।
killing his gurujanas.
तो कह
So
सकता
which
है
one
मैं
should he
तो
choose?
इनका
So
ध्यान
he
रखना
can
चाहता हूँ,
say that out of respect for
हमारे
them,
जो स्वजन है, हमारे जो संबंधी है उनका, क्योंकि कुलघ्ना नाम
and I also do not want to
हिंदू
destroy
जो अपने कुल की
my
हत्या करते हैं तो भाग
dynasty,
भाग
my
जाना पड़ता है।
family members,
तो
because he had told
अपने कुल
earlier
की
that
रक्षा करने
those
के
who kill
लिए,
their family members
गुरुजनों
go
की
to
रक्षा
hell.
करने के लिए, उनका आदर
So he
करने
can
के लिए
say that I am
इसलिए
leaving the battlefield
इसमें
just
मेरी
out of
बेइज्जती
respect
क्यों
for
होगी।
elders, superior,
लोग तो मेरी प्रशंसा ही
guru.
करेंगे कि
Then
देखो
why will
कैसा
I
आदमी है, कितना
achieve
उदारतावाद है
infamy? Why will people
और
criticize me? In fact,
अपने
people will praise me
परिजनों से
that Arjun
स्नेह
was
करता
such a
है।
nice person. He had so much
तो
love for
इसमें
his family
भगवान
members,
श्रीकृष्ण
for his
बोलते हैं कि
gurus.
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ऐसा
So
कुछ भी नहीं
Bhagavan is
समझना। सब
telling
लोग
here, no,
समझेंगे कि
there
अर्जुन डर
is
गया,
nothing like that. People
क्योंकि
will
कुछ
actually
हैं
think
जो
that
वीर
Arjun
पुरुष
became
हैं,
scared
वो
because
कभी
the
शरीर में छिपा के
Kshatriyas,
कारण
those who are
छूटते
brave,
नहीं हैं।
courageous, they never
एक
leave
बहुत ही
battlefield
बढ़िया श्लोक है
out of any due to some family relation or anything.
जो
There is
श्री बलराम जी ने
a
बोला है
wonderful
कि
verse in
क्षत्रियम
Bhagavatam spoken
धर्मस्य
by
रक्षति विनिर्मितः
Balaram ji.
भ्रातरम अपि भ्रातरम हन्याद ये न घोरतमस्ततः। कहते हैं कि प्रजापति ने क्षत्रियों का धर्म ही ऐसा बनाया है कि भाई भाई को भी मारता है।
So it says, he says that Prajapati has made
इस समय
Kshatriya dharma in such a way
भगवान
that
कृष्ण
even
ने
brother can
अपनी
kill
रुक्मिणी
brother.
का हरण किया था और उसको लेकर के
So this
विराट
was
ने
told when Bhagavan
रुक्मिणी को रुक्मिणी उनका पीछा
took
करते हुए हरण किया।
Rukmini with himself, and Rukmini's
उन्होंने कहा
brother
था
Rukmi
कि
was
मैंने
chasing from
रुक्मिणी
behind.
हटा
So
दी,
earlier Bhagavan did
लेकिन
not
उन्होंने रुक्मिणी को
tell anything, but
पछाड़ दिया,
when Rukmi was intent on fighting,
बाल काट दिए।
then Bhagavan defeated him
तो
and shaved,
बलराम ने कहा
removed
कि
his
ये भाई
hair.
आपका साला ही लगता
So
है, फिर
then
क्यों ऐसा कर
Balaram
रहे हैं।
stopped him that he is your
तो उन्होंने
brother-in-law.
कहा था कि एक
Why are you
क्षत्रिय का
doing this to
धर्म ही इस
him?
प्रकार का है।
So then he said that it is the dharma of a
तो इसलिए
Kshatriya.
क्षत्रिय लोग कोई भी, क्योंकि जो
So
विपक्षी
that's
लोग हैं,
why
जो कर्ण है,
the
दुशासन है,
Kshatriya, whoever they may
दुर्योधन है,
be, even those who are on the
ऐसे
opposite
समझेंगे कि
side,
नहीं,
Karna,
भाई जो बड़ा
Dushasan,
वीर पुरुष है वो इसलिए छोड़ के
Duryodhan,
जा रहा है कि
why will they
बंधुओं
think
की हत्या
that
नहीं करे।
Arjun is
ऐसा
leaving
कोई सोच नहीं
because
सकता,
he has lot of
कभी सोचा
affection
नहीं।
for his
पिछले
relatives?
पिछले
No
श्लोक में
Kshatriya
भगवान
think
ने
like
कहा ना कि
things like
प्रजापति
this.
कथयिष्यन्ति कि छोटे मोटे लोग भी
That's why
आपकी
Bhagavan said
आपकी
that
निंदा
even the
करेंगे।
ordinary people, they will speak
जो
of your
बड़े
infamy,
महारथी हैं उनकी
and
तो बात ही क्या
the
है।
great fighters,
इसलिए
what to speak of
मंशन्ते
them.
त्वाम महारथ, महारथी लोग तो ये समझ ही नहीं सकते हैं,
The
कभी सोच ही नहीं
Maharathis,
सकते हैं
they can't even
कि
understand, they can't even think
बंधु स्नेह के कारण
that
युद्ध से
you
विरत
have
हो
left
जाएं,
the battlefield due to affection for your
क्योंकि
relatives,
आप वीर पुरुष हो और आपने पहले
because
युद्ध
you
किया
are a
है।
brave warrior and you have also
तो
fought
सबको
against
मालूम
them
है
earlier.
कि विराट कुंभ में
Everyone
ये लोग
knows
रह रहे थे
that when you were
और
residing in the
कौरवों की
kingdom of
हत्या
Virat,
करने के लिए गए थे,
and when the
इसलिए
Kauravas had been
युधिष्ठिर
there
ने नल
to
के
steal the
पुत्र
cows of the kingdom of Virat,
और
then Arjun, who
जामवंत की
was
पुत्री
living there
द्रौपदी
as
को
Brihanalla, and
नाचना गाना सिखाया
he
था।
was teaching singing and dancing
तो उस देश
to
में भी आके इसने युद्ध किया
Uttara,
था।
the daughter of Virat.
तो अभी भी
So
तो
that
आप ही
time,
लोग
even
हैं
in even dressed
कि
as
वीर
Brihanalla,
पुरुष
he
बने
came and
हैं,
he
उस
fought.
समय तो आप
So now at least you are in your
श्री
original
कृष्ण
form
भी
of Arjun.
किन्नर रूप में थे।
That time
तो
you were
इसलिए
as
यहाँ पे
a
कोई भी ऐसा नहीं
that time you were as a
सोचेगा
eunuch,
कि आप
but now you are in your original warrior form. So nobody will
अब
think as
इन
you
लोगों
are
के मारने
thinking
के या इन पर सवार
that
करके युद्ध
out of affection or mercy for the relatives, you left the battlefield. People will only think that you became scared.
तो डरना भी एक कभी कभी काम देता है।
So sometimes becoming afraid also is
व्यक्ति अगर
useful.
अपनी कीर्ति अपकीर्ति से डर करता है कि मेरी
If a
अपकीर्ति ना
person
हो
is scared
और
of his
लोग
infamy or
बुरा
inviting
कहें,
criticism,
तो ये अच्छा
then
है।
and then he does not do any wrong
ईश्वर का तो
activity out
कहना
of
ही
that
है
fear,
कि
then
लोग
that
मेरी
fear is
निंदा
good,
करेंगे अगर मैं इस प्रकार
because
का
out
कार्य
of that
करता
fear
हूँ
he
तो
is
अच्छा
not
है।
engaging in wrong activity.
लेकिन अर्जुन तो उल्टा ही कर रहे हैं।
But Arjun is doing the
उसको
opposite
उसका
thing.
भय नहीं है कि मेरी
He
अपकीर्ति
is
हो
not
जाए,
even afraid of
तो उसको
infamy.
भगवान समझा रहे हैं कि
So Bhagavan is
लोग
explaining that
आपको
only,
यही कहेंगे कि डर कर भाग
that
गया।
people will speak that
और
you ran
क्योंकि हम
out of
सामाजिक
fear.
प्राणी हैं
And because we are social
तो
beings,
हम बहुत कार्य इसलिए करते हैं कि दूसरों
we
को
engage in lot of activities being inspired by thinking what
मुझे
others
लगता
will
है
think about
साइकोलॉजी
us
है समाज
if
की
we do this
कि
activity.
बहुत चीज
This is
हम
a
इसलिए करते हैं
psychology
कि
among
दूसरों
people in the
को
society.
दूसरे लोग
They do
परिक्रमा
many
करें तो हम
things
भी परिक्रमा
simply because
करें।
others are doing. If others are
इसलिए
doing
ये नहीं
parikrama,
कहते
I
कि
will
गुरु
also
जी
do
कह दिए तो हम
parikrama.
करने नहीं गए।
And they ask also that did you not go for
कहते हैं
parikrama?
ऐसे
They speak
दूसरे
like
लोग
this.
टट्टू बनवा रहे हैं अपने शरीर पर
Others are
तो हम भी बनवाएं।
putting tattoo on their
ये
bodies,
सोचते
so
नहीं
I
है
should also have tattoo. They
दूसरे
don't think
लोग
that
हेयर स्टाइल
what
अच्छा है
is
मैं
its
भी
use
ऐसे हेयर
for
स्टाइल
me.
बनवा।
If others have a particular
तो बहुत
hairstyle
कार्य
also,
हम
I
इसीलिए
also should
करते हैं
have
कि
similar
समाज वाले
hairstyle.
ऐसा कर रहे
So we do many things
हैं और
simply
उसी प्रकार से
imitating
हम
people
बहुत
in the
कार्य
society.
वो नहीं करते हैं जो
Similarly,
समाज
we
करता
also avoid
है
many
जिससे समाज की
activities
निंदा होगी।
which people in the society avoid,
क्योंकि हम समाज
or
में जो
because
हैं
of which we will be
वो
criticized in the society. Because
विचित्र नहीं लगना चाहते हैं किसी
because
को
we do not
कि
want
ऐसा
to
इस
appear
तरह का बर्ताव
strange in the society.
एक जिसको
We do not want people to think that
समाज का
why
दबाव
that he is a very
प्रेशर
strange
जिसको
person.
बोलते हैं
This is
तो
called
उसके
social
बहाने भी
pressure.
बहुत कुछ
Out of
बोल
social
देते हैं।
pressure, we do
तो
many
भगवान
things.
उसी सोशल प्रेशर की बात यहाँ पर कर
So
रहे हैं कि
Bhagavan is
लोग
talking about that
और
social
विशेष
pressure
रूप
only
से
here,
आम आदमी की
and
यदि बात करें तो
especially
आम आदमी तो बोलते ही रहते हैं
not so much
उनका जो
about the ordinary people,
कहना है
because ordinary people
ओपिनियन है
have the habit
मत
of
है
speaking all
उसका
kinds of
कुछ ज़्यादा
things,
फर्क
but
नहीं पड़ता
their opinion
लोग
is not much
बोलते ही
valued
रहते
in
हैं।
society,
लेकिन यहाँ तक
and we
कि
should not pay much
महारथी जो
attention
हैं
to what those people
वो
speak.
इस प्रकार से
But
बात करते हैं
more important is the
तो
Maharathis,
हम
they will
कहेंगे
speak of your infamy.
ऐसे
That is very
दूसरों के लिए
important.
ऐसे बकवास कर रहे
So then you cannot
हैं। ये
say
तो
that they are
सहयोगी
simply
हैं
speaking nonsense,
और उनकी
because they
बात
themselves are also brave warriors,
श्रेष्ठ
and
पुरुषोत्तम
what they
भीष्म
speak
अर्जुन
has
जी को
got
कहते
lot
हैं
of
तो हम
value.
नहीं कह सकते हैं अरे
If
भीष्म तो ऐसे ही
if
ईर्ष्या
Bhishma
दोष की
criticizes
वजह से ये सब
Arjun,
कह रहा है।
then you cannot say that no, Bhishma is
नहीं वो
criticizing out of
योग्य
envy.
पुरुष है स्वयं भी
No, Bhishma is a
धर्म की
qualified
रक्षा है
person. He is very knowledgeable about
युद्ध
dharma.
करके
He is a
हारता
brave
है
warrior. So if he
तो
says that Arjun
ईश्वर
ran
भी
out of
ईश्वर
fear,
बन सकते हैं।
then you cannot find
तो
fault in
इसलिए
him.
कहते हैं कि ये शाम च त्वम बहुमतो भूत्वा
So that is
धर्मस्य
why
भाग
Bhagavan is telling
कि
in
जो
this
आपका
verse
बहुमत है
that
यानी कि जो लोग आपका बहुत सम्मान करते हैं
those
जो
who
आपको मानते हैं
have those who
जानते हैं
honor you very much, who
तो
respect
वो
you highly,
आपको
those
इस
same
दृष्टिकोण से
people,
कहेंगे कि
they will
ये
treat you
कैसे
as
कभी ये सोचा
insignificant.
नहीं था कि अर्जुन
They
ऐसा
will
करेगा
say that we never even thought
आपके मुंह पर
that
थूक देंगे
Arjun can run out of battlefield.
आपके सामने
They will spit on
लगाएंगे
your face. They will
तो
criticize you on your face.
इसलिए आपको युद्ध से विरत नहीं होना चाहिए।
That's
तो
why you
भगवान
should
इस
not
प्रकार से उसको समझा रहे हैं
leave the battlefield.
क्योंकि जब
So
आदमी
Bhagavan is explaining to Arjun
किसी
in
कार्य
many
से
ways,
विरत हो जाता है
because when a
जीवन में
person
विषाद होता है
he
तो
gets
उसको
into depression and
उत्साहित
stops
करने के
working,
लिए
then just to make him enthusiastic, just to enthuse that
टेक्निक
person,
लॉजिक
many
लगानी
techniques
पड़ती
and
है।
logic have to be
पहले उसको
used.
ज्ञान से समझाया
So
फिर धर्म
first,
से
firstly,
समझाया
Bhagavan gave him
फिर
knowledge,
सामाजिक दृष्टि से
then he
समझा रहे हैं
explained from the point
इसलिए
of
कहते हैं
dharma.
कि
Now he is
ये
explaining to him
भगवत
just
गीता
from the
है
social point of view.
क्योंकि
Here
हम
there
सब
is no
समाज में रहते हैं
tattva, vastu, or
हम
dharma
समाज
or
में रहते
anything.
हैं तो हमको ऐसा कार्य
We
नहीं
are
करना
social
चाहिए कि
beings. We
लोग
live in the
समाज से
society.
बहिष्कृत कर दें।
We should not
विशेष
act
तौर से
in a
पहले
way
बहुत होता
that
था ऐसा
people, that society
हमारे
ostracizes
यहाँ
us. Earlier,
ईश्वर
this was
ने
quite
बहुत
common.
अलग समाज
Nowadays,
में
people
किसी
live
को जन्म से
separately and
साक्षात
people do not
ऐसा
have
करते
much
हो तो
interconnection
इंटरनेट के
within the
माध्यम से या
society.
मतलब ऑफिस के
Most of
माध्यम
the
से कैसे
connection is
लेन
by
देन करें
internet. Now, even
लेकिन
people
पहले
don't go to
समाज में
office,
ही
they work from
लोगों को
home.
रहना पड़ता था और
But
इसलिए
earlier,
समाज
people were
का
living in the
दृष्टिकोण
society
बहुत अलग से
and
था
the social
इसके
support was
परिणाम का
extremely
दुष्परिणाम
important. Without
इसका
social support, it would be
तो
extremely difficult
समाज
for
अगर
that
कुछ
person
करता
to
था
continue his life.
तो वो फिर आपको मानना
If
पड़ता
If society told something about that person, he had to accept that. In the villages in India, even today, that custom is there, which people in the cities do not understand.
पर अगर आप उस स्थिति में जाके रहेंगे तो
They
आपको
say
पता
that why he acted like this, he should not have done that. But if they do not know that if you would have, if you live in that situation in the village, you have to live like that. You have to agree to what society says. Otherwise, everywhere you will be criticized. So earlier, the biggest punishment was getting ostracized by the society. So earlier, that was the system. If somebody did anything wrong, then there was panchayat. That was like a small court in the village, and then they would take a decision that ostracize him from the society, which means nobody will associate with him anymore. Nobody will sit with him for prasad or anything. Even today in Vrindavan, in the Sadhu Samaj, that system is there. If any sadhu does anything wrong, then he is ostracized from the Sadhu society. Nobody will invite him and nobody will accept his invitation. So he will not have any, he will no longer be accepted in the society.
मतलब बहिष्कृत कर दिया। तो पहले इसकी बहुत मान्यता थी।
So earlier, this was a very popular system in the society, that there was this punishment of getting ostracized from the society was considered a great punishment. So Bhagavan is telling Arjun that please do not act like this. And what about your opponents like Karna? So Karna had lot of competition against Arjun. His entire life was rotating around this point, that how should I make Arjun feel inferior? How can I make him look down? So Karna was also equally very competent, and he always wanted to hear his own praise and always wanted to prove that I am superior to Arjun. I am a better warrior. That's why he went to Parshuram to learn the art of warfare, and he spoke lie. Arjun had learned from Dronacharya, and Dronacharya had refused to teach to Karna because Dronacharya was not sure if Karna was a Kshatriya. He was popularly known as Sutaputra, the son of a Suta. Suta means the caste that is which has charioteers. That's why Dronacharya did not agree to teach Karna. Then Karna went to Parshuram, and Parshuramji, he did not teach to Kshatriyas. In fact, he had destroyed the Kshatriya dynasties. So Karna changed his appearance and he learned. And then later, when Parshuram learnt about that he was a Kshatriya in a different appearance, then he cursed Karna that you will forget this knowledge when you need it. So this proves that how much competition Karna was having against Arjun. At least Karna will never accept that Arjun leaves the battlefield out of respect for his guru or superiors, relatives. Karna will only think that Arjun became scared of me. He ran away just by hearing my name. And this is what Karna wants, that Arjun should become afraid of fighting. So that's what Bhagavan is telling, that if you run away from here, all these great warriors, they will criticize you. And criticism will be like death for you. So criticism is something that is very painful to our ears. In Bhagavatam, we know of Jada Bharat. He had nothing to do with the society from childhood only. We know that in the previous life he was King Bharat, and due to a mistake he became a deer again in the next life. And but he had remembrance of his previous life, and then next life he became Jada Bharat. Jada, he was known as Jada Bharat because he intentionally acted as Jada, like dead matter. So he was not interacting in society, not studying, not doing anything, just roaming around like a madman. So the king engaged him in carrying the palanquin, and when he was carrying that, he was not walking properly, because wherever he found ants or any other living entity, he did not step on those ants, so he was crossing over them. So because of that, he was not carrying the palanquin in a smooth way, and there were shocks. That's why the king criticized him that it seems that you are very tired, because Jad Bharat was very well built, his physique was very good. So the king criticized him, telling that it seems as if this palanquin is very heavy for you. So Jada Bharat, who was not at all bothered about his fame or infamy, even he did not tolerate this criticism. After some time, even he started speaking that what sort of king are you? What do you think of yourself? You are just a king of some small kingdom Sindhu Desh. I was the king of the whole country. The name of this country has been put after me, Bharat, and the country's name is Bharat. So the point is that tolerating criticism is not an easy job. Jada Bharat was not a totally carefree, not bothered about anything. Even he felt some criticism that such a small king and I am carrying his palanquin and he is speaking all this nonsense in front of me. He doesn't know who am I. And then there is another katha about Bhagavan Krishna, the story of the Shyamantak jewel. So there's a long story about the Shyamantak jewel, and it's a very interesting story, and it's quite complicated. So the Shyamantak jewel, which was with Satrajit, who was worshipper of sun, and sun god had given him to him. So when he had brought it in the Sabha to show to Bhagavan, he told that you give it to Ugrasen, why you are keeping? He is the king. So then he refused. And then you know this katha that Akrur, together they got Satrajit killed and got that jewel. And then Bhagavan started getting criticized because of that. People thought that it is Bhagavan who did like this. Satrajit, who was murdered, Bhagavan had nothing to do with that. But people started spreading the rumor that Bhagavan had stolen that jewel. So even Bhagavan had to work hard. Then the Satrajit's brother Prasenjit, and he had taken that jewel in the forest, and there was a lion there, and the lion killed him, and then the jewel disappeared from there. So people thought that Bhagavan got him murdered and he took the jewel. In fact, even Bhagavan Balaram, he also started doubting that probably Krishna only has done this. Means even the elder brother Balaram, who lived with him from childhood, even he started getting the doubt. So people in Dwarka, they started becoming worried and told that to their children, don't go out, Krishna will take away everything. So when Bhagavan started getting criticized so much, then he thought that now I have to do something. And then he went away in search of that jewel. Then he understood that Prasenjit was killed. He saw the footprints of the lion, and then he met Jambavan. He fought with him and brought the jewel back. And then he returned it. So the point is that Bhagavan was also criticized. And we know about Bhagavan Ram. He was criticized so much that he had to give up his wife also. But we think that it was just a washerman who had done a criticism. But we should understand that if a person, ordinary person like washerman can criticize, then so many other people might have been criticizing Bhagavan Ram. It is not that Bhagavan Ram gave up Sita just because he heard a criticism from a washerman. No. So people who are very famous and who are very great, they never do anything that invites criticism. But even if due to some wrong reason, some criticism happens, then they try to act in such a way to clear away that criticism. So that's why Bhagavan is explaining to Arjun that do not act in such a way that invites criticism to you, because then you will not be able to clear it away. Because no matter how much explanation you give, At least in Bhagwan's case, he brought the jewel back and he could prove that I was not in any conspiracy. But what will you do, Arjun? Once you run away from the battlefield, people will think that you ran out of fear.
इसी को यहाँ पर
So that is what is being explained by Bhagavan here.
यहीं बंद
So we'll stop here, and
थोड़ा अवरोध आ गया
there was
तो अगले
some disturbance in the between.
अगले श्लोक से
संदीप जी, आपके पास कुछ प्रश्न है?
धन्यवाद, प्रणाम बाबा जी महाराज।
बोले
मेरा प्रश्न ये था कि मान लीजिए जैसे
So my question is that like there are Dharma Shastra, Niti Shastra, Nyaya, etc. and the Shrutis, Smritis.
इनकी कोई प्रेसिडेंस है इन द सेंस, अगर एक जैसे आज आपने उदाहरण दिया कि नीति शास्त्र के अनुसार अपनी जान को बचाना चाहिए, लेकिन धर्म शास्त्र के अनुसार उसे अपने क्षत्रिय धर्म का पालन करना चाहिए, तो
So like you said that according to Niti Shastra we should protect our life, but by Dharma Shastra he should be ready to lay his life to protect others. Is there any such precedence? So the answer, the precedence is that in Niti Shastra is a part of Artha Shastra, and then above that is Dharma Shastra, and above Dharma Shastra is Moksha Shastra.
तो ये प्रेसिडेंट
So this is the precedence.
श्रुति में भी श्रुति स्मृति विरोध है तो श्रुति रेव बलि ऐसी अगर श्रुति और स्मृति
And if there is some conflict in Shruti and Smriti, then
बलवान माना जाता है श्रुति
Shruti is considered superior. Shruti means Ved.
इतिहास आदि
Smriti means Ved, Puran, Itihas, Dharma Shastra, ityadi.
श्रुतियों में भी विरोध होता है
Even in Shruti, there may be some Virodha, some conflict. So then Mimamsa is required. Puru Mimamsa gives principles to resolve that.
विचार किया जाता है अनेक प्रकार के न्याय हैं
There are many types of nyayas. There are 1000 nyayas in Purva Mimamsa, just to understand that in which place,
काफी चीजों का विरोध देखने में आता है वहाँ पर
because if you study Shrutis, you will see there are lot of virodhas. So then Purva Vidhi, Paravidhi, then Paravidhi is considered superior. Then there is Upakrama, Upasamhara Nyaya.
परविधि बलवान होती है कभी
So it is not that always but the later one is stronger. Sometimes even the previous one can be stronger. So there is lot of Mimamsa in that has to be learnt properly.
आपने जैसे बताया कि कार्य करने से पहले स्थूल और सूक्ष्म शरीर
Question, just like you said that before acting, we should have knowledge of the gross and the subtle body.
मन बुद्धि
So subtle body, answer subtle body means you should learn how mind works, how Ahankara functions. That is subtle body.
तो स्थूल चीजें आपके
So like you are in the car, so there are some gross elements like there is tire, there should be proper level of air in the tire.
फ्यूल इंजेक्शन
But there are other parts which you cannot see, carburetor and other things which are not seen directly. So you should have some knowledge about them also, because on the road, if your vehicle suddenly breaks down, then what can you do? Everywhere you cannot find an engineer to repair it. But if you yourself have some knowledge about that, then you can at least repair it to some extent. And in our case, these instruments are with us all the time. And all the time we have to utilize these gross and subtle parts of the body.
अच्छा इसी में आगे था कि आंतरिक धन की आपने बात की थी
तो आंतरिक धन जो है वही हमारा धर्म है भक्ति है
So the antarik dharma, the inner dharma, that is for us, that is bhakti.
कार्य करते हैं क्योंकि हमारे कर्म का
We act like this because we get the
की बात है
phala of our karma. Karma dharma is same only.
योग बोलते हैं वो धर्म
What we call karma yoga, that is dharma yoga also.
कभी धर्म
Sometimes it is called karma, sometimes it is called dharma.
लेकिन जब आप अपने शास्त्र के अनुसार कर्म करते हैं वही धर्म होता है
When you, karma is a general word, but when you act according to Shastra, then that karma is called dharma.
कर्म एक व्यापक शब्द है
Karma is a vyapak word,
दोनों कभी
so
इंटरचेंजेबल भी हो
Some they can be used interchangeably.
मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि जैसे कीर्ति की बात चल रही थी, तो साधारण भक्तों को
So question, you were talking about fame, kirti. In general, devotees should have nothing to do about fame. Answer, so it is true that we do not act to achieve fame, but we should also not act, do such things which bring infamy. In Sanskrit, it is said that one who is famous even lives after death. We do not act to achieve fame. So, na dhanam na janam, there janam means fame. It means to have followers, means fame, having fame, followers, because you will get followers only when you have fame, when you are famous. So, when Mahaprabhu is telling na dhanam na janam, so we want only bhakti, that is our only goal. But that does not mean that we act in such a way that brings infamy to us, that brings criticism to us, because that will invite also criticism to Bhagavan. People will think that if Bhakta is acting like this, so then people used to say earlier that he is wearing Kanti Mala and he is speaking lie. In villages, people used to say that people are wearing Kanti Mala and speaking lies. So that brings criticism to the Vaishnava Dharma. So one should not act like that. That is not our goal to achieve fame, but achieving infamy, that is also not our goal.
इसी से संबंधित एक हो जाता है कि वैष्णव क्रिया
So
मुद्रा
next question connected to this,
तो
it is generally said that Vaishnaver Kriya Mudra Vigye na bujhaye,
निंदा हो जाती
that ordinary people cannot understand how a Vaishnava acts and then it brings criticism.
है, उसमें तो अपराध ही जाएगा उनको।
अगर आप वैष्णव की निंदा करोगे,
Answer, yeah, if you are criticizing a Vaishnava, it is an offense, especially if it is the very exalted Vaishnava, it is a great offense. So stay away from offense, from criticism, because that does not achieve any purpose. Even if a Vaishnava is doing something wrong, what do I achieve by criticizing him? If we can see that the person is doing something wrong, then we see that, we understand that, and until and unless we are in a managerial or a leadership responsibility to correct that devotee, then we have no business advising or correct that devotee. But and even if somebody we correct or we advise that person, criticizing does not bring any result.
आदरणीय बाबा जी, आधुनिक विज्ञान की प्रगति के साथ क्या मनुष्यों के लिए स्वर्ग
Question,
जैसे अन्य भौतिक संसार की
along
खोज
with
करना संभव है?
progress in modern
उदाहरण
science,
के लिए मानव शरीर में अर्जुन
can
स्वर्ग का
people
दौरा करने में सक्षम थे।
search places like Swarga? For example, Arjun went to Swarga in the human body. So answer, these Swarga and such places are not places which can be seen by our gross vision. In Mahabharata, it is said that when Arjuna went for victory, then he crossed a point wherein he could not see anything. So with modern science, how is it possible to see those places? Those places are achieved only by dharma, not by modern science.
You spoke that the tendency of criticize others is very deep-rooted. And so the question is how to uproot this tendency, and if this tendency is related also to insecurity or to be like kind of not settled.
So how to uproot it? ये हमारी जो एक प्रवणता है
So
निंदा
question, we have this tendency of criticizing others. How can we uproot this tendency?
तो उससे छुटकारा पाने के लिए आपको
So in order to uproot this tendency, you have to utilize your intelligence, your power of discrimination, and think, what advantage do I get from this? how do I benefit by criticizing? Because when you are not using your intelligence, you are simply moving in the flow of the world. So after 3 or 4 verses, Bhagavan will keep talking about buddhi, buddhi only. In this same chapter, I think Bhagavan uses the word buddhi 23 times. So we have to keep our intelligence aware and think accordingly that we should not criticize others. This is only possible when we have a firm resolve in our determination to achieve bhakti and not engage in criticism of Vaishnavas. What to speak of Vaishnavas? Not criticizing anyone, because we do not achieve anything long lasting by this. For some time, due to criticism, we may derive some pleasure, but in long term, there is no benefit. It is like suffering comes because of sense gratification. So, criticism is also a sense gratification. For some time, by using our tongue in criticizing somebody or by hearing criticism of someone in our ears, we derive some pleasure. But what is its result? Its result is dukkha yoni. It will become a cause of suffering only, and it will become a cause of great suffering. Aparad is the biggest obstacle on the path of bhakti, and the biggest aparad is Vaishnava aparad, criticism of Vaishnavas.
प्रश्न है, महाराज जी कोई शास्त्र ऐसा है जो मन बुद्धि
Next question, is there any shastra which can explain in detail how mind, intelligence, etc. work? This question was asked earlier also. So as I had explained earlier, there is no such specific shastra like this. In different shastras, explanations are given, like in Charaka Samhita, Yoga Sutra, in their commentaries, explanation is given. Third canto of Bhagavatam, 26th chapter, there also you can learn about it, especially in the commentaries. But there is no such special book made just to explain this. In Gita also, Bhagavan will explain. So these verses and their commentaries, if they are studied, then you get knowledge about that. You can study Sankhya Karika, Sankhya Sutras. They contain such explanations.
ठीक है, प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव। एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेताः। यच्छ्रेयः स्यात् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयोर्भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजंघ्रये। भवे भवे यथा भक्ति पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनम् प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम् हरि ओम तत्सत्।